Hey there YouTube, it's Bobi aka Paginator, and I'm here today with my February 2022 TBR. We're going to do TBR Avatar again, except for the first two prompts. In my school, we are requiring certain books be read by certain times, and so during the month of February, I need to read a banned book and a book by an author who is of a different ethnicity or race than I am. So we're going to start with those two prompts. Alright, so for prompt number 1 is going to be a banned book, and I am going to read The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. You can see my copy has been very beat up. I'm pretty sure I bought this at a used bookstore. The original price was 75 cents. That's kind of fun. So this book has been hotly contested throughout the years and banned in many places. Now to clarify, I'm not asking my students to read a book that is inappropriate for them. I'm asking them to read a book that has been banned somewhere. So it could be for a ridiculous reason, like, did you know Winnie the Pooh has been banned because someone thought that talking animals are offensive to God? Yeah. But for me, I'm going to read The Catcher in the Rye. So this is about Holden Caulfield, and he is 16, if I remember correctly. I'm going to read a little bit from the description from Amazon. It says, through circumstances that tend to preclude adult secondhand description, Holden leaves his prep school in Pennsylvania and goes underground to New York City for 3 days. The boy himself is at once too simple and too complex for us to make any final comment about him or his story. Perhaps the safest thing we can say about Holden is that he was born in the world not just as strongly attracted to beauty, but almost hopelessly impaled on it. There are many voices in this novel, children's voices, adult voices, underground voices, but Holden's voice is the most eloquent of all. Transcending his own vernacular, yet remaining marvelously faithful to it, he issues a perfectly articulated cry of mixed pain and pleasure. However, like most lovers and clowns and poets of higher orders, he keeps most of the pain to and for himself. The pleasure he gives away or sets aside with all his heart. It is there for the reader who can handle it to keep. So it doesn't give us much in terms of the actual story, and I can't give you much in terms of the actual story because I've never read this book. I know. I majored in English in college, and I have never read this book. What went wrong? But now is the time. I'm going to read it. And the second prompt that I mentioned we're doing for school is to read a book by an author who is a different ethnicity or race than you. And for this one, I'm going to be reading How Moon Fuentes Fell in Love with the Universe. This is by Raquel Vasquez Gilliland. And she is a Mexican ethnicity, Mexican American, excuse me, and this book has been winning some awards, so that's another good reason for me to pick it up. Let's learn a little bit about it. When her twin sister reached social media stardom, Moon Fuentes accepted her fate as the ugly, unwanted sister, hidden in the background, destined to be nothing more than her sister's camera woman. But this summer, Moon also takes a job as the merch girl on a tour bus full of beautiful influencers, and her fate begins to shift in the best way possible. Most notable, of course, is her bunkmate and new nemesis, Santiago Phillips, who is grumpy, combative, and also the hottest guy Moon has ever seen. Wait, her bunkmate's a guy? Oh, is this going to be a hate-to-love situation? Moon is certain she hates Santiago, and certainly he hates her back, but as chance and destiny, and maybe probably close proximity, bring the two of them in each other's perpetual paths, Moon starts to wonder if that's really true. She even starts to question her destiny as the unnoticed, unloved wallflower she always thought she was. Could this summer change Moon's life as she knows it? Now, you know, this trip has not been organized by school teachers because we would never have a girl and a guy be bunkmates. But, you know, when you're just young adults, you can make your own rules. I'm curious to know how they ended up as bunkmates, though, if they don't like each other. Anyway, we'll find out when we read. And now it's time for our rolls. We're going to hit the TBR Avatar board and keep our fingers crossed that we get some good picks. I will be doing 10 total prompts, so we've already got 2. We'll be doing 8 more rolls. And as I did last month, if I read the first 5, complete those prompts, I'm good. But the other 5 are a bonus. And if I complete all 10, then I get to purchase books. So let's keep our fingers crossed. Alright, so before we get into this first roll, I do want to just apologize for the weird angle. I have thrown out my back and I have to just make things work with the table that I'm at, or we can't film this. Also, I'm going to be using a different dice. This is a 20-sided dice, but I only will count the roll if it's from the range of 1 through 8, as we see on the board here. I have a regular dice with 6 sides, and I can't get to it with my back in the condition that it's in because of where it's located on the shelf. So, having said that, we're going to start with roll number 1, which is book number 3, and here we go. 17 too high, 18 too high. This could be a really bad situation. It might take us a while to get a number. 2. Okay, 1, 2. That brings us to a blank, which means we draw a card. And here is the card. Can you see it amongst the glare? It is Hama, read a horror. Ah! Alright, so our first roll brought us a horror, and for this one, we are going to read Lake's Edge by Linda Cliffstone. This edition of the book I have does not have a dust jacket, but it does have very pretty end papers. So I am going to be consulting Amazon to get our plot overview. When Violetta Graceling and her younger brother Arian arrive at the haunted Lake's Edge estate, they expect to find a monster. Leda knows the terrifying rumors about Rowan Sylvanen, who drowned his entire family when he was a boy. But neither the estate nor the monster are what they seem. As Leda falls for Rowan, she discovers he is bound to the Lord Under, the sinister death god lurking in the black waters of the lake. A creature to whom Leda is inexplicably drawn. Now to save Rowan and herself, Leda must confront the darkness in her past, including unraveling the mystery of her connection to the Lord Under. Holy crap. I'm nervous. Next roll. Too high. Too high. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Dragon dance? Hold on. Okay, so according to G's instructions, Dancing Dragon means to read a book digitally, either Kindle or otherwise. I'm assuming that means it could also be a digital audiobook, and that should be fun. Okay, so next we had Dancing Dragon. We need to read a Kindle or otherwise digital book. I have a preview copy of the audiobook of Icebreaker by A.L. Graziadei. I'm slaughtering names again. No surprises there, really, actually. Anyway, this is about hockey, I believe. 17-year-old Mikey James III is a college freshman, a brother to 5 sisters, and a hockey legacy. With a father and grandfather who have gone down in NHL history, Mickey is almost guaranteed the league's top draft spot. The only person standing in his way is Jason Caulfield. Ooh, there's the name Caulfield again. A contender for the number 1 spot and Mickey's infuriating and infuriatingly attractive teammate. When rivalry turns into something more, Mickey will have to decide what he really wants and what he's willing to risk for it. Okay, so I'm excited to read this. I was able to get the audiobook from Libro FM. I have an educator account with them, so I get some free audiobooks every month, and I'm excited to listen to that one. Next book. 1. 2X something. 2X book? Oh boy. For this one, I have to draw 2 prompt cards and read 2 books instead of 1. Alright, here we go. Here is the first card, and it says, Library Spirit, read something from somebody else's TBR. Okay, and the second card for this prompt is Ursa, Family Picture Next Read. Well, that could have gone better. We get to read 2 books for this prompt. So the first one, Library Spirit from someone else's TBR. I started with Jade from JD Ray Reads, and with her January TBR, there wasn't anything that I had that was on her TBR, but then I went back to her December of 2021 TBR video, and I found one. So I'm going to be reading Winterwood by Shay Earnshaw. Look at this cover, isn't it pretty? And we got blue sprayed edges. This is the color that I would like to dye my hair. What do you think? Yes? No? Should I go purple? Should I just leave it brown? Anyway, Winterwood. Be careful of the dark, dark wood. Especially the woods surrounding the town of Furhaven. Some say these woods are magical. Cursed even. Rumored to be a witch, only Nora Walker knows the truth. She and the Walker women before her have always shared a special connection with the woods, and it's this special connection that leads Nora to Oliver Huntsman, the same boy who disappeared from the camp for wayward boys weeks ago, and in the middle of the worst snowstorm in years. He should be dead, but here he is alive and left in the woods with no memory of the time he'd been missing. Weird. But Nora can feel an uneasy shift in the woods at Oliver's presence, and it's not too long after that Nora realizes she has no choice but to unearth the truth behind how the boy she's come to care so deeply about survived his time in the forest and what led him there in the first place. What Nora doesn't know, though, is that Oliver has secrets of his own, secrets he'll do anything to keep buried, because as it turns out, he wasn't the only one who went missing on that fateful night all those weeks ago. Well, that should be interesting. And the second prompt for this roll shoot is to have a family member pick your next read. So I just grabbed 3 books, took a picture, and sent them to my sister. And I said, judge by the cover, pick what you want to read. And she chose Finding Junie Kim by Ellen O. Junie Kim just wants to fit in. So she keeps her head down and tries not to draw attention to herself. But when racist graffiti appears at her middle school, Junie must decide between staying silent or speaking out. Then Junie's history teacher assigns an oral history project, and Junie decides to interview her grandparents, learning about their experiences as kids during the Korean War. Junie comes to admire her grandma's fierce determination to protecting her family and her grandpa's unwavering compassion during wartime. And as racism becomes more pervasive at school, Junie taps into the strength of her ancestors and finds the courage to do what is right, just as her grandparents did. This does sound really interesting, so I'm excited that my sister picked this one for me. The other 2 she could have chosen from were Pride and Premeditation, which is a Pride and Prejudice retelling, or what's the other one that I sent her? Fat Chance Charlie Vega, which is a contemporary. But I'm pleased with this one. I think it'll be fun. All right, so now we're getting into my bonus prompts for the month of February. Here we go. Too high, too high, too high. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. -3, which means I have to go backwards 3 steps. 1, 2, 3. And it's Cabbage Pot. Okay, so our first in the bonus section is Cabbage Pot. And as you know, I don't have an actual cabbage pot. I have a very classy bag. So there is possibility that I have made a mistake and put some books in here that I have already read. I was cutting out so many names of books when I made this, I got a little lost. But we're going to draw a book and hope for the best. Be nice to me, be nice to me. Ooh, okay. So we're going to go with a classic mystery. We have Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie. So here it is, and we'll read a little bit about this. Just after midnight, the famous Orient Express, which is a train, is stopped in its tracks by a snowdrift. By morning, the millionaire Samuel Edward Ratchet lies dead in his compartment, stabbed a dozen times, his door locked from the inside. One of his fellow passengers must be the murderer. Isolated by the storm, Detective Hercule Poirot must find the killer among a dozen of dead men's enemies before the murderer decides to strike again. I am familiar with the story of this, but I still want to read it. Of course, I have watched the recent movie adaptation with Johnny Depp as Mr. Ratchet because it's Johnny Depp. Who do you think I am? And I'm excited to read this book finally, even though I already know the story. Our second bonus, which is roll number 7, or book number 7. 6. That almost flew off the table. 1, 2, oops, go the right way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, what does that arrow mean? We're in luck. That just means to roll again and move. You don't have to pick a prompt. 14 is too high. 3. 1, 2, 3. Blank, so we draw another card. And here we have Air Monks. Read a nonfiction for your soul. Next we have a nonfiction for your soul. I have some audiobooks that I got through NetGalley, and I am going to be reading Inside Animal Hearts and Minds. And this is by Belinda Riccio. It is an inside look at amazing things that animals do and things we've learned about animals. Animals are special to me. Growing up, I had a rabbit, I had sheep, I had dogs, of course, cats, we had horses. My family now has cattle, which I'm not really a part of. I'll go help them with stuff, but I never did raise cows on my own. But animals are super special to me, and I'm really excited to just kind of switch gears. I haven't read like a nonfiction book about animals probably since college when I read Seabiscuit, so I'm excited for this one. Book number 8. Why do I keep rolling these high numbers? 1. Bury out. Okay, this is burnout, and it means from this spin onwards during this game round, every spin is halved. If you spin an uneven number, average it down. For example, for 7, you'd move 3 steps. So this doesn't give us a book to read. We're getting close to the Avatar state anyway. I'm not sure what I'm going to do if I get there before I have my 10 books. Let's see. 11, so that would be 4 steps, no, 5, because we round down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh my gosh, this is our last step before the Avatar state. What am I going to do? First, let's pick our card. Omashu, Mountains on the Cover. Our next prompt is Mountains on the Cover, and I'm going with Rumble Star by Abby Elphinstone. Gavin says Abby, so I'm going to go with that. There are mountains here in the background behind this hot air balloon. This is a middle grade, and we learn 11-year-old Casper Talk hates risks and is allergic to adventures. So it comes as a nasty shock when he stumbles into Rumblestar, an unmapped kingdom full of magical beasts. All Casper wants is to go home, but Rumblestar is in trouble. Morg, an evil harpy, trying to steal all the unmapped magic for herself, and so together with Utterly Thankless, a girl who hates rules and is allergic to behaving, and her miniature dragon Arlo, Casper sets off on an adventure full of cloud giants, drizzle hags, and never late trees. Can these unlikeliest of heroes save the unmapped kingdoms and our world from the clutches of Morg and her followers, the Midnights? This just seems like 100% fun. Alright, so this is what I think I'm going to do. I'm just going to let the next roll take me into the top space here. We'll pick a card to get me my 9th book, and then we're just going to start over at the beginning because I need to get 10 books on here so that I can try to earn my bonus for the month of February. Alright, 15, it doesn't matter, divided by 2 would be 7, so it would still work, but we're going into the Avatar state and picking a card, and this one says, Cora, read a story with LGBTQIA plus rep. Got it. Yes, if you're wondering, I realize that my camera's set up a little bit higher than normal. I'm too sore with my back being out lately to fight with it, so we're just going with it. For our second to last pick, we need an LGBTQIA plus, did I get all those letters in there? I don't know, representation. And for this one, I'm going to go with Last Night at the Telegraph Club by Melinda Lowe. This book has also been winning some awards recently, and I've been hearing good things. This does have a female-female romance, and it is set in the 60s, I believe, or maybe 50s. Let me take a look. 17-year-old Lily Who can't remember exactly when the question took root, but the answer was in full bloom the moment she and Kathleen Miller walked under the flashing neon sign of a lesbian bar called the Telegraph Club. America in 1954 is not a safe place for 2 girls to fall in love, especially not in Chinatown. Red Scare paranoia threatens everyone, including Chinese Americans like Lily. With deportation looming over her father, despite his hard-won citizenship, Lily and Kath risk everything to let their love see the light of day. Okay, so I have moved Ronald back to the very beginning, and we're going to do one more roll to get my 10th and final book, aka my last bonus book. 12 divided by 2 would be 6. Yes, that will be fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Blank. We're getting a lot of blanks today, which I don't mind. And our card is Toph. Read a book with disability representation. Oh, this is perfect. Alright, so I'm super excited for this last pick. It does ask for disability rep, and I have been wanting to read this book for quite a while. It is A Kind of Spark by Elle McNichol. This is about a girl who is autistic. I heard about this from Gavin, from How to Train Your Gavin, and he just raved about it, and I immediately ordered it from Book Depository because no shelf control. Anyway, this is about Addie. Addie knows exactly who she is. Addie knows that sharks are more interesting than dolphins. She knows her favorite words in the thesaurus, and she knows that her older sisters are opposites. And when Addie learns about the witch trials that happened in her hometown, she knows there is more to the story of these witches, just like there is more to her. As Addie tries to get her small town to make a memorial for the witches, can she challenge the way they see her? A Kind of Spark is a story about courage, friendship, and what it means to be different. So excited. All right, we've got a fairly good stack going here for February. It's going to be 11 books instead of 10. And it's a shorter month. And I have to start working on my thesis. Heaven help me. If you're a praying kind or a good vibes sender, send them my way. In the meantime, I'm going to wish you all a wonderful, magical, and bookish day. Happy reading. Adios.